Slaka eitt á hálfan krók.
3 árum eftir eitt mannskæðasta flugslys síðari ára á Íslandi fjölda spurninga ósvarað það sem gerðist í aðdraganda slysins.
I see the government being 100% responsible for this.
Gögn sem ekki hafa verið birt áður benda til þess að stjórnvöld hefðu getað komið í veg fyrir slysið.
For me personally, this third year was a year of anger.
This pilot should not have been operating in the way he was, and we do know that the government investigated him and failed to do anything about it.
Parents are supposed to die before their children. It's not supposed to be the other way around.
But it was snowing when we were on our way to the lake before. And the rain these last couple of days definitely has seemed almost like a different season from when we were here.
Just wonder what was going through Josh's mind when they crashed. It's like, what do you think of? Is it just, crap, what's happening? Or, I have to swim to the shore? Or does he know he's going to die?
Þetta eru hjónin Kristin og Chris Newman. Þau eru frá borginni Charlotte í Norður Karolínu í Bandaríkjunum. Chris bráðalæknir og Kristin lyfjafræðingur. Það janúar og ískalt en frekar stillt veður við Þingvallavatn. Þangað eru Newman hjónin að koma í fyrsta skipti í rétt tæplega 3 ár. Vatnið skartar sínu fegursta, en fegurðin hjónunum ekki efst í huga.
We hate this lake. It's like it's alive, and it took our son.
This body of water is responsible for basically swallowing our child. It's a beautiful area, but it's just filled with a lot of very hard memories for us.
They told us that some of them have gone about 85 meters from the plane. And, you think that's not a very far distance, but in this weather and the way that water feels, it's amazing they haven't got that far.
Fimmtudaginn 3. febrúar 2022 var bjart og gott veður á suðvesturhorni landsins. Þann morgun klukkan 10:38 tók eins hreyfils flugvél af gerðinni Cessna á loft frá Reykjavíkurflugvelli. Borð voru 4 menn, flugmaðurinn Haraldur Diego sem rak fyrirtækið Volcano Air og 3 farþegar. Josh Newman var 22 ára bandaríkjamaður, Nicola Bellavia var 32 ára belgi og Tim Allings var 27 ára og frá Hollandi. Þeir voru allir hér á landi á vegum belgíska fataframleiðandans Suspicious Antwerp. Flugáætlun gerði ráð fyrir 2 tíma útsýnisflugi Suðurland og lendingu að því loknu á Reykjavíkurflugvelli. Haraldur flaug yfir Hellisheiði og Hveragerði, niður að suðurströndinni og svo til norðvesturs yfir Grímsnes og í átt að Þingvöllum. Eftir rúmlega klukkustundar langt flug lækkaði hann flugið niður að ísilagðri Ölfusvatnsvík í suðurenda Þingvallavatns. Á myndum úr eftirlitsmyndavél í nálagum sumarbústað sést hvernig vélin færist nær og nær vatninu, þangað til hjólin snerta ísinn sem brestu við það. Vélin hafnaði vatninu klukkan 11:48, maraði í hálfu kafi í 2 mínútur og sökk svo 47 metra niður á botn í ísköldu og dimmu vatninu. Mennirnir 4 sem voru borð fórust allir.
It is literally midnight right now and it's still light out. This is like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Farþegarnir 3 voru á Íslandi til þess að búa til samfélagsmiðlaefni fyrir belgíska fataframleiðandann.
Boys in Iceland?
Josh var stórstjarna á samfélagsmiðlum og var meðal annars frægur fyrir að endurgera þekkt atriði úr kvikmyndinni The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, en bæði atriðin voru tekin upp á Íslandi.
Yeah, at the time of his death, he had a little over 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube, and it's actually still growing, surprisingly. His Instagram was a little more than 150,000 when he died.
Josh átti einn yngri bróður, Daniel, sem 22 ára í dag, jafngamall og Josh var þegar hann lést.
He grew up, he played with his friends, he played baseball, he played sports. The moment that he became a little different is when he picked up longboarding at 12. Because suddenly, as soon as he picked that up, he realized, oh wow, I can have my own business. So he kind of became obsessed with the sport, and through it, he learned to film, edit, market himself, and that just grew over the time from 12 to the time of 22 when he came to Iceland with another company.
Josh ferðaðist allan heim vegna vinnu sinnar. Foreldrar hans segjast vissulega stundum hafa haft áhyggjur af ævintýragirni hans.
But he definitely got his adventurous spirit from us. And again, people would ask me, how can you let your son do this and do that? And, you know, Josh had such a passion for these things. I'm like, well, what kind of father would I be if I told him not to do something that he was truly passionate about?
Í skýrslu rannsóknarnefndar samgönguslysa segir að ísinn á Þingvallavatni hafi ekki verið nógu þykkur til að bera þunga vélarinnar. Daginn sem slysið varð var hæg austlæg átt á Þingvöllum, léttskýjað og 8 stiga frost. En hvernig gat þetta gerst? Rannsóknarnefnd samgönguslysa segir að ekkert hafi fundist í vélinni sem skýrir tildrög slysins. Sennilegt sé að tilgangur flugsins að útbúa raunveruleikaefni hafi verið áhrifaþáttur í því að flugmaðurinn lækkaði flugið niður að vatninu. Hvort hann ætlaði að fljúga lágt yfir eða lenda gat nefndin ekki skorið úr. Neyðarsendir fór ekki í gang en neyðarlínu barst örstutt símtal úr síma eins farþegans klukkan 11:51. Engin greinileg samskipti komu fram í símtalinu. Kveikur óskaði eftir afrit af því en þeirri beiðni var hafnað.
We found out that the plane was missing. We organized a trip to leave the U.S. the next day. We were in JFK Airport about to board our flight to Reykjavik. And about 30 minutes prior to that, they called to say, what we were told is the plane has been found in the water, there are no survivors. That's all we knew, that Josh had died. So we had to fly all night. It wasn't until the next day that we were told there was no survivors, but none of the bodies were in the plane.
Talið víst að fjórmenningarnir hafi reynt að komast í land. 6 björgunarvesti voru í flugvélinni, en þau voru öll ósnert. Lík mannanna fundust öll töluvert frá þeim stað þar sem flugvélin fannst. Ummerki benda til þess að mennirnir hafi skriðið út glugga. Heyrnartól voru utan við vélina á botni vatnsins og voru þau tengd með snúru inn í flugvélina í gegnum glugga. Litlir áverkar fundust á líkunum og voru þeir ekki taldir hluti af dánarorsök. Mennirnir eru allir taldir hafa drukknað þegar þeir reyndu að synda í land í gegnum íshraunglið í vatninu sem var við frostmark þennan dag.
So that was our first inclination that something was terribly off. Because it was reported and thought in our mind, okay, this is a plane crash. So what I had come to know is that anybody that's operating a plane in Iceland, if your engine fails, the last place you're going to land is in water. You're going to land on land because you have a higher probability of living.
Lík mannanna fundust ekki fyrir 2 dögum eftir að vélin fannst.
I mean, I think the hardest thing as a parent is just to imagine the suffering that a child has. I mean, it's the worst part about this is when we actually think about the accident itself. At least for me, I think about what is going through Josh's mind? At what point in your mind, as a human being, do you realize, I'm not going to survive? And then what goes through your mind? I mean, think about, was he thinking about us? Was he thinking about getting home to us? Was he thinking about swimming ashore? Was he in pain? Was he suffering?
Leitin að vélinni var afar umfangsmikil og tóku rúmlega 1100 manns þátt í henni. Vélin fannst ekki fyrr en 1,5 sólarhring eftir slysið. Hún var þá 830 metra frá landi og 47 metra dýpi í Ölfusvatnsvík.
35, Jónas, kontakt.
Þessar myndir sem hafa ekki áður verið birtar opinberlega sýna kafara landhelgisgæslunnar kafa niður að vélinni.
Slaka 1,5 metri. Slaka 1,5 krók. Það er kontakt. Kontakt Jónsi, mátt ekki. Mörg dýpi 44, komið til. Slaka nokkra stekka á Jónasi.
Vélin var ekki hífð upp úr vatninu fyrir tæpum 3 mánuðum síðar í lok apríl. Sú aðgerð krafðist mikils undirbúnings og var háð veðri. Niðurstaða rannsóknarnefndarinnar er sú að mannlegir þættir hafi átt þátt í slysinu og nefnir í því sambandi ákvörðunarvillu, fyrirfram ákveðna sýn og ofmat á eigin getu.
Who's paying for gas? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, it's so wet!
Þetta var alls ekki fyrsta heimsókn Josh til Íslands, heldur sú þriðja. Hann hafði komið bæði í júní og desember árið áður.
Josh had a bucket list of activities that he wanted to do in his life, and the number one thing on his bucket list was to see the Northern Lights. And people would say to him, "Oh, what's second on your list?" And he would tell them, "I'll tell you after I finish number 1." Quite honestly, I think had he seen the Northern Lights the December prior, it would never have even been a priority to come back.
Josh fekk ósk sína þó uppfyllta í heimsókninni í febrúar. Hann hringdi í foreldra sína 2 dögum fyrir slysið og sagði þeim að hann hefði verið að horfa á norðurljósin.
I can't believe it. Look over there! Dude, look! Oh! Oh my God!
Þetta var í síðasta skipti sem Josh talaði við foreldra sína. Heimsóknin örlagaríka í febrúar var hins vegar fyrst og fremst vinnuferð fyrir belgíska fataframleiðandann.
They do limited drops of clothing, and so usually their plan is to get influencers that already have a social media presence, bring them to beautiful places, and photograph them doing activities in their clothing.
Josh kom til Íslands 31. janúar og átti flugmiða heim 4. febrúar, daginn eftir slysið. Á leiðinni til Íslands setti Josh tilkynningu á samfélagsmiðla þess efnis að hann væri á leiðinni til landsins. Haraldur flugmaður og Josh höfðu kynnst í Íslands heimsókn Josh sumarið áður.
So Geraldo responded to Josh to say, "Oh, you're coming to Iceland." And Josh said, "Yes, I'm there," was suspicious. And Josh said to him, "Oh, maybe we can take a flight." And then basically Geraldo said, "Oh, that company has already reached out to me. But they were trying to get the flight for free." And Josh said, his message was, "I had no idea they were trying to get the flight for free. That's crazy. I know they would pay you."
Í skýrslu rannsóknarnefndarinnar kemur fram að rekstrar fyrirkomulag Volcano Air hafi haft áhrif í slysinu. Haraldur var einyrki, sjálfur var hann með atvinnuflugmannspróf, en fyrirtæki hans var ekki með flugrekstrarleyfi og hafði því ekki heimild til þess að fljúga með farþega gegn gjaldi. Ekki má fljúga með farþega gegn gjaldi eða í ábataskyni á Íslandi nema viðkomandi fyrirtæki sé með flugrekstrarleyfi. Til þess að fá slíkt leyfi þarf að sýna fram á að afar ítarleg skilyrði öryggismál séu uppfyllt. Þá viðhefur Samgöngustofa margfalt meira eftirlit með fyrirtækjum sem eru með flugrekstrarleyfi en með flugmönnum í einkaflugi. Kveikur hefur undir höndum samskipti Haraldar og Josh í aðdraganda flugsins. Þar segir Haraldur við Josh að ferðin kosti 60.000 krónur á klukkutíman. Þá segir hann að hann sé ekki í þessu til þess að hagnast, heldur frekar til þess að kynna bæði flug og Ísland almennt. Peningarnir séu eingöngu til þess að hann geti viðhaldið flugvélinu og áttana. Tæpu ári fyrir slysið voru Samgöngustofa og lögreglan á höfuðborgarsvæðinu í samskiptum þar sem Samgöngustofa lýsti þungum áhyggjum af starfsemi Haraldar og Volcano Air. Kveikur hefur þessi samskipti undir höndum. Málið hefst á því að Samgöngustofu berst ábending frá manneskju sem greinilega þekkir til flugmanna á Reykjavíkurflugvelli, eða BIRK, og virðist telja að Haraldur hafi reynt að fara á svig við reglur. Samskiptin sem Kveikur hefur undir höndum hefjast 27. mars 2021. Og altalað milli flugmanna á Reykjavíkurflugvelli að minnstakosti að hann selji ljósmynd á 40.000 og viðkomandi fái flugferðina í staðinn. Hann slingur og virðist hér vera komið fordæmi fyrir aðra til að fara hans fyrirmynd í flugrekstri og ekkert því til fyrirstöð að allur einkaflugsflotinn skelli sér bara í bransan, segir maðurinn, og bætir því við að aðrir haldi út í leyfum með ærnum tilkostnaði. Í svari Samgöngustofu viðkomandi spurður hvaðan hann fær þessa tölu, 40.000 krónur. Við höfum verið að ræða við farþega og gengur illa að fá staðfestingu á greiðslum.
I mean, it wouldn't take much investigating to figure out, oh, this guy is definitely operating more than a cost-sharing flight. They could have looked on Instagram, all the posts, and said, how much did you pay for your flight? Send me your messages with the pilot. This is not a lot of information. I mean, when we've been able to get it in America through different people, then they just lack the initiative to follow through.
Nokkru eftir slysið leituðu Newman-hjónin til lögmannsstofunnar Chrendler & Chrendler í New York, en stofan sérhæfir sig meðal annars í flugslysum og afleiðingum þeirra.
The job of the Icelandic authorities, the ITA, is to basically ensure the safety of aviation for the flying public.
31. mars sendi Samgöngustofa erindi til ákærusviðs lögreglunar á höfuðborgarsvæðinu. Þar segir að Haraldur stundi farþegaflug án þess að í gildi sé flugrekstrarleyfi eins og reglur kveða á um. Samgöngustofa telji að þetta sé dulin atvinnustarfsemi og brot á loftferðalögum.
Well, unfortunately, it's an absolute tragedy. I mean, what we're dealing with here is a plane that was really put in a very dangerous position by the pilot, and it crashed, and it was really something that should never have happened because not only should this pilot never really have been carrying passengers for pay like he was, but he should never have been flying that low and put this aircraft in that kind of position. And it leaves a lot of questions that really should be answered by the government as to why this pilot, who was investigated for doing this very thing, carrying passengers illegally for pay only months earlier, why was he flying in the first place? And why was his license not suspended?
Í bréfi sínu til lögreglunar segist Samgöngustofa telja nauðsynlegt að rannsaka umrædda starfsemi og svipta Harald skírteini tímabundið á meðan rannsókn fer fram. Samgöngustofa lætur svo lögreglu fá lista yfir fjölda flugferða Haraldar dagana undan. Það væri mjög gott að taka samtal þegar þið hafi rennt í gegnum þetta, þar sem Samgöngustofa fyrirhugar einnig að svipta viðkomandi flugmann skírteini sínu. Í svari lögreglunar segir að farið verði það strax að kanna hvort sakargiftir eigi við rök að styðjast. Jafnframt að viðkomandi verði beðinn að hætta þessu, samanber meðalhóf, það ef hann að stunda svona starfsemi án tilskilinna leyfa.
In order to get that license, you have to meet a whole bunch of requirements that you don't have to meet as just a regular private pilot. And similarly, the business itself has to meet a whole bunch of safety requirements that you don't have to meet as a private pilot taking a quote-unquote cost-sharing flight that he claims that these kind of flights were. And as a result, legally, it definitely matters. Here we are in a position where if you had done proper safety planning for this flight, you would have known, what's the thickness of the ice on the lake? How dangerous is it to fly over it? How dangerous is it to fly over it at such a low altitude?
Í lok mars hefur rannsóknarlögreglumaður svo samband við Harald í síma. Haraldi var kynnt erindi Samgöngustofu og hann var beðinn að láta af því athæfi að fljúga með farþega sem hann væri að rukka gjald. Hann sagðist ekki gera það, enda væri hann ekki með flugrekstrarleyfi. Hann segist sjálfur hafa selt ljósmyndir sem hann tekur sjálfur. Hann sagðist stundum fljúga með vini sína og áhuga ljósmyndara, en hann sé ekki með verðskrá og rukki ekki fólk, en stundum lætur fólk hann fá pening, en það væri fyrir kostnaði. 1. apríl sendir deildarstjóri flugrekstrardeildar Samgöngustofu svo bréf á fjölda starfsmanna, bæði lögreglunar á höfuðborgarsvæðinu og Samgöngustofu. Þar segir hann: Það gríðarlega mikilvægt að taka föstum tökum á ólöglegri atvinnustarfsemi á sviði flugmála. Þetta snýst öryggi almennings, enda eru mun ítarlegri kröfur gerðar til þjálfunar flugmanna og umgjörð starfrækslu loftfara hjá flugrekendum en gert ráð fyrir í einkaflugi.
You know, that's why legally it is important, because that's the kind of safety planning that's necessary to do this kind of operation safely. And the fact that the pilot didn't have it, and he didn't have it because the government was basically allowing him to operate in this fashion is, you know, legally it does make a difference.
1. apríl sendir Samgöngustofa Haraldi bréf og segir honum að sú staðreynd að hann hafi farið í fjölda flugferða að eldstöðunum við Fagradalsfjall og selt farþegum myndir bendi til þess að ekki sé einkaflug að ræða. Stofnunin telji að hann sé að reyna að komast undan gildandi reglum starfsleyfi. Slíkt framferði að mati Samgöngustofu þess eðlis að stofnunin lítur svo á að það sé varhugavert að þú neytir réttinda þinna að svo stöddu. Samgöngustofa krefur Harald svo ákveðnar upplýsingar fyrir lok næsta dags og hótar því loks að afturkalla flugleiðaskírteini hans tímabundið ef gögnin hafi ekki borist. Kveikur hefur ekki upplýsingar hvað nákvæmlega gerðist næst, en hefur þó fengið það staðfest hjá lögreglunni á höfuðborgarsvæðinu að rannsókn hafi verið hætt í júní 2021. Í svarinu segir að það sé til dæmis gert þegar rannsóknin hefur ekki leitt í ljós refsiverða háttsemi. Ríkissaksóknari staðfesti ákvörðun lögreglunar miðjan október það sama ár. Tæplega ári eftir að yfirvöld fengu ábendingu starfsemi Volcano Air hafnaði flugvélin í vatninu og 4 menn fórust. Flugmannsskírteini Haraldar var þá í fullu gildi.
They did an investigation. Why they didn't see it to completion, they had the authority to revoke, suspend, or annul his license. They chose not to do it. They gave it to the police. It's not clear whether they did a full investigation of it or not. We just know from the time it was reported in March to the time it was released in October, there was something terribly missing. There was 2 government agencies involved, not only the police, but the Transport Authority. So 2 different agencies had the ability to intervene. I mean, obviously the pilot was piloting the plane, right? So he's the first person responsible. But then for us, we are going one step back. So who's responsible for the oversight of anybody in aviation here? It's the Transport Authority. For us, I see the government being 100% responsible for this.
Hvorki Samgöngustofa né embætti lögreglustjórans á höfuðborgarsvæðinu urðu við beiðni Kveiks viðtal. Þá hafa fjölmargar stofnanir hafnað beiðni Kveiks aðgangað málsgögnum, svo sem rannsóknarnefnd samgönguslysa, Neyðarlínan, Landhelgisgæslan og embætti lögreglustjórans á Suðurlandi sem fór með rannsókn málsins. 21. febrúar sendi Samgöngustofa Kveik þó skriflegt svar. Þar sagði stofnunin ekki fjalla málefni einstakra leyfishafa í fjölmiðlum. Það væri þó hægt að staðfesta að Haraldur hafi verið með gilt atvinnuflugmannsskírteini og að flugvél hans hafi verið með gilt skírteini til einkaflugs. Mál varða starfrækslu einstakra faratækja sem mögulega eru ekki í samræmi við útgefin leyfis Samgöngustofu vísað til þar til bærra yfirvalda sem hafa víðtækari rannsóknarheimildir og úrræði ef grunur leikur á lögbrot. Ákvarðanir slíkar rannsóknir eru ekki í höndum stofnunarinnar og Samgöngustofa hefur ekki önnur úrræði til að grípa til ef mál eru ekki tekin til skoðunar, sagði ennfremur í svarinu.
But we don't know exactly what the shape of that investigation was, who the government spoke to, what information they were able to gather, and why they chose not to suspend his license or take any other action against him.
Newman-hjónin hafa kallað eftir svörum við þessum spurningum, en svörin hafa ekki verið fullnægjandi að þeirra mati. Þau hafa því falið lögmönnum sínum að undirbúa dómsmál á hendur íslenskum stjórnvöldum. I mean, are there grounds for a court case?
Yeah, I mean, we're working with lawyers there in Iceland on the ground who would be more knowledgeable than I am about Icelandic law, but I believe the answer is yes. And certainly the family has not taken that option off the table at this point.
Well, that option is on the table. You know what I mean? We're hoping we don't have to exercise it, but we're also not going to just sit around and allow, because whatever happened to cause this accident is likely out there happening right now. Because if they didn't do anything to prevent this accident, they're likely not preventing any other ones. And that doesn't just apply to aviation. I mean, we know there was an ice cave accident not too long ago, and that was a safety issue. So this needs to be brought to light.
Stuttu eftir að þessi viðtöl voru tekin í lok janúar sendu lögmenn Newman-hjónanna ítarlegt bréf til innviðaráðuneytisins. Þar framganga stjórnvalda í aðdraganda slissins harðlega gagnrýnd og þess krafist að öll gögn málsins verði afhent. Þá þess krafist í bréfinu að stjórnvöld sýni fram á hvernig þau ætla að stöðva flugrekstur á borðið þann sem kostaði Josh lífið. Verði ekki orðið við kröfum hjónanna, munu þau óhikað leita rétta síns fyrir dómstólum, enda hafi stjórnvöld brugðist eftirlitshlutverki sínu og sýnt af sér saknæmt athafnaleysi.
You're advertising everything that's beautiful here, and it is truly a beautiful country. But you have an obligation. If you're going to accept tourism dollars, then make sure your tourists are safe if they're going to come to your country. That's their obligation.
Do you think Josh would still be alive if the authorities had acted?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would definitely. Because if the Transport Authority would have used the authority they already had and the information that was very easy to glean, he may have just said, I'm not going to take passengers anymore.
Newman-hjónin í stöðugu sambandi við ættingja hinna farþeganna tveggja sem létust í slysinu.
They all have the same goals. They want to understand how this could have ever happened to begin with.
I mean, stuff is so overgrown in there now.
Yeah.
Please.
What's that?
We're not going to find it.
So what are we looking for here?
So we had about a little hand-sized olive wood cross that some friends had brought us from Israel. And they gave it to us just before we came out on our first trip here. And when we came here, we actually wrote Josh's name on it, wrote his birthday and the year of his passing, and we placed it under one of these rocks, which actually put a pin on my phone, but it's been 3 years, and a couple of people have found it and actually have posted about it, but we can't find it right now. I don't think I would have come out this far.
The night that we were called to ID Josh's body, he was the last body retrieved of the 4 that evening. And I was terrified, honestly. I was absolutely terrified because he'd been in the water for a week. I didn't have any expectation for what it would feel like or what he would look like, honestly. There were 4 additional people in the room with us. I turned around and spoke to all of them, and I said, I have to know if you know the Lord. And they said, they kind of looked shocked because here I am with my child's dead body, and I'm asking them, do they know the Lord? And the preacher was there, and he kind of made a joke. He said, well, I hope I do. I'm a preacher, you know, which was kind of a little bit of comedic relief. But I think he was so struck that I would ask him that in that situation that he told us that there was a lady there that had a story to tell us. She stepped forward. She introduced herself as being a member of the search and rescue team. She said, I have to tell you what happened when we recovered your child's body. She said, as you know, tonight there's a terrible storm. And I said, yes, I understand. And she said, at the time they retrieved your son's body and they brought it to the surface of the water, the storm stopped and the northern lights lit up the sky. Well, my son, my younger son, was very, he didn't believe her. He said, oh, they've seen the picture of Josh online. They know the northern lights. They're just telling us the story. But the next day when we took Daniel to the lake and to meet the lead investigator, at the time, Johan was his name, one of the first things he said is, did you hear what happened at the lake?
There's not a morning we wake up, we don't think about them. Not a night we go to sleep, we don't think about them. We have good days, we have bad days. For me personally, this 3rd year, was a year of anger. Just anger at everything. Just anger at life, anger at losing a son, anger at the way the world works, anger at the pilot, anger at Icelandic government, just anger at a lot of different things. Parents are supposed to die before their children. It's not supposed to be the other way around. It's unnatural.
You traveled all this way to Iceland to tell us Josh's story. Why were you willing to do that?
Well, because I feel like we're the only voice he has. He's not here anymore. And Josh, honestly, would number one, be proud of us for being able to have the strength to do it. But number two, be happy that we're trying to help somebody else, because that was who he was. So if he could feel like, wow, help somebody know what I didn't realize. Obviously, nothing good is going to happen until we fully investigate why this happened to begin with, but it takes someone sharing the story and us being willing to be here to represent who Josh was, and honestly represent the other people who were on the plane that died as well, because we're their voice for them too. So I just appreciate having the opportunity to share in hopes that we can make some kind of positive change.